Stop me if you've heard this one before. You're a tax-paying citizen of this country and the state of Nevada. You think to yourself, wait a second, where the heck are my taxes going? What is my government up to? Where is the government? All excellent questions to be asking in this, the year of our Lord 2025. Well, that's why I'm here in an extremely cloudy and a little cold Carson City to tell you about Nevada's state legislature and why it's one of the weirdest legislatures in the country and why you should care. From Battle Born Progress, this is Battle Born Bytes. I'm Jacob Solis. Let's roll. Let's get after it. Let's just rock and roll. Extremely windswept, but it is what it is. This building behind me is the Legislature. It looks less fancy than other state legislatures and lacks a giant dome, but it's getting renovated, so we'll forgive its dust for now. Inside are 63 legislators, 21 senators, and 42 assembly members. What are they up to? A bunch of ceremonial stuff that doesn't really matter because it's day one and nothing actually happens in the first week. But that's besides the point. What's happening now is that for the next 4 months, 120 days, Nevada legislatures need to figure out every single little thing that needs to happen for the next 2 years. Why? Nevada is only one of 4 legislatures in the entire country that meets once every 2 years. That's what the word biennial means, once every 2 years. We do it in the odd year. So do they. I don't know why. There might be a historical reason. See on screen, maybe, if I remember and to edit. How many bills could there possibly be? I hear you asking. Well, over 1,000. Not even kidding. Over 1,000. How many of those are going to become law? Half-ish. Most likely. So the governor usually signs 563 bills. That's what happened in 2023 when there was a Republican governor, Joe Lombardo, and a Democratic legislature, like we have in 2025. Look at that. But the thing is that the legislature will usually pass a lot more bills than actually get signed. This is what you might know as the veto. So in 2023, Governor Joe Lombardo vetoed a record number of bills, something like 70 of them. That's a lot. That's just a ton of bills. I can't express to you that is just a lot of bills. Sometimes those bills are really important, like when Governor Joe Lombardo vetoed the budget. And that forces something called a special session. What's a special session? It's exactly what it sounds like. Oh, the regular session's over, but we ran out of time to do something? Better call a special session. So last year, that's exactly what happened, and they had to pass a budget after the regular session happened. So when I say that we really only do legislative sessions every other year, sometimes it's more than every other year because we have a bunch of special sessions. But wait. How many special sessions are there, actually? Well, glad you asked. There's exactly 35 of them. But here's something to know. They're getting faster all the time. Of those 35, 10 have happened since 2010. 5 have happened since 2020. You do the math. This is like Pacific Rim. I don't know if that reference is even going to land on anybody. But no one's seen Pacific Rim. There's a whole bit where the monsters keep coming exponentially faster, so it's like special sessions will keep happening exponentially faster until we eventually have an annual legislative session, even though no one wants one, but the governor's just going to call one every year anyways. But this is a future that doesn't exist. But you know what? I've rambled long enough, and frankly, it's really cold. So now we're going to switch to Inside, where I'm going to teach you some legislative vocabulary to wow your friends and shame your enemies. Vocab word number 1, LCB, technically 3 words, Legislative Council Bureau. They are the bones of the legislative system. You need a bill written? LCB. You need your hearing streamed? LCB. They're everywhere, all at once. Our second legislative vocab word is also cheating because it's legislative time. This includes multiple concepts like call of the chair. What's the call of the chair? Well, say you want to start a hearing, but you don't have a real time in mind. Just say call of the chair. When does it start now? Who knows? This big umbrella of legislative time also includes a 1-minute recess. How long is a 1-minute recess? If you guessed 1 minute, you're wrong, and you're literally never going to be right. Congratulations. So our last word, again, technically not a single word. Technically, it's more of a number. It's a 2/3 majority. You may think you know what that means. Oh, a 2/3 majority. They use this in the big government. Correct. But here's how it matters in Nevada, because obviously you need a 2/3 majority to override a governor's veto. Remember earlier when I said that last session, the governor vetoed a record number of bills. So that could matter again this year because Democrats don't have a supermajority in either chamber, so it would require Republicans to override any vetoes. Second, the legislature needs a 2/3 majority to pass any tax increase. So keep an eye on that. It's probably going to matter. And now we're going to kick it to Future Me to talk about the news. Wow, look at that. It's me from the future. Thanks, past me. So this is what a normal episode of Battle Born Bytes is probably going to look like. It's going to be me in a chair talking about the news, but it's news that matters to you. So, this week I figure legislative theme, let's stick to the legislature. And we're going to start with basically the only legislative story that matters, because I'm going to let you in on a secret. The beginning of a legislative session is usually much chiller than the end of a legislative session. This is because everyone has not had time to get on each other's nerves yet, and they actually haven't introduced all the bills that they're going to get mad at each other over until later, like, I don't know, April or something. But to get into it, we need a little bit of context, so I'm going to run through this literally as quickly as I can. So, last month, the governor introduced a budget. The governor always introduces a budget. The problem is he had $12.4 billion to work with for the next 2 years. Cool. We all knew that, obviously. But he introduces a budget with a $335 million hole in it. Oopsie daisy, I think, is the technical term for this problem. Democrats at the time got notably upset because why would you do such a thing? Nevada, like a lot of states, requires a balanced budget. We're not like the federal government where you can run a giant deficit. You kind of need money in to be money out. So a $335 million hole? Big problem. Just for some additional context, at the time, Senate Majority Leader Nicole Cannizzaro called the budget hole unprecedented and said literally, I quote, "I cannot recall a time when the governor sent the legislature a budget that simply didn't add up." Neat. Well, the governor's office finally fixed that, mostly, this week by submitting a bunch of amendments that mostly made a lot of the continuing funding they wanted in that original budget into one-shot funding. What's the difference between continuing and one-shots? Well, it's what it sounds like, but the real important thing here is that one-shots are basically guaranteeing that whatever you're making a funding decision over is a political football. Why decide to fund something once when you could decide every legislative session in perpetuity, and then everyone can get mad about it every single time instead of once? It's excellent stuff. What are these one-shot funding decisions? Well, here's one: $140 million for pre-K programs in Nevada. Exciting. I love political footballs. We love political footballs here on Battle Born Bytes. So that does it for this week's episode of Battle Born Bytes. Just so you know, every week we're going to be bringing you more of this. Why are my eggs so expensive? This is not my beautiful house, etc. The hope here is to just explain the world around you and get you to know why Nevada ticks the way it does, because I'm going to let you in on a secret. Nevada is a weird state. And sometimes it feels like it's really hard to explain what's going on in a way that actually makes sense. So hopefully this does that. For Battleborn Progress, I'm Jacob Solis. We'll see you next week.